We're going to continue on with the subject of choosing toys for your dog. In this next subject, I'm going to cover enrichment toys. So what I'd classify as enrichment toys are toys that could potentially stimulate our dog's problem-solving skills. Often this could be just for something to get the chewing, excessive energy, anxious energy out, busy energy out, or just to occupy your dog. Now, with a lot of the enrichment toys, these are toys that I would still say need some supervision. A good example of this might be a Star Mark Everlasting treat ball. And these usually have a treat inside them. For some dogs, this will last a long time. Obviously, if your dog doesn't ingest it in a certain period of time, please be aware, depending on where you're keeping this, that can develop mold, it can develop bacteria. So it's not something that I'm just gonna leave like the same treat in there forever. For my own dog, I'll be honest, when he was a puppy, he would get done with those in about 30 seconds. He could just pop it out, chew it right up. And so for certain dogs, that's going to cost a lot of money for you to keep filling as a way of keeping your dog busy. But along that line, it is something that can be used. And you just need to monitor your dog. Is your dog getting it out, getting off big chunks? Usually, once again, there is a toy portion to that, or a toy portion to that that's not just edible. So my dog honestly just loved to play with the toy. But that being said, other options or examples could be like a wobble ball, okay? And the wobble balls or the Kong wobblers, these come in various sizes, shapes. Obviously, avoid something that your dog could choke on. You're looking for something fairly sturdy. And some of these are easier than others. So look at how easily your dog is working through it. Obviously, like a Kong wobbler, if I fill it with a bunch of food and my dog is just getting it out, knocking it around and eating a ton, especially if my dog is deep chested, I might be a little bit weary of that if they're just really going at it, because then I may need to put them into crate rest, something like that, because I don't want to take the risk of bloat. Bloat really just is when we have a gastric torsion, when the stomach swells with the weight of food or the weight of water. It's ingested quickly, especially when it's accompanied by a lot of air. The stomach can actually twist on its axis, and this cuts off the intake and outtake and can be a very fatal condition for our dog that requires immediate emergency attention. Okay, so if your dog really is working through that, just ingesting, gulping food, right? If you know, especially if they're like, right? Like, please keep that in mind. We don't want to take those kind of risks with our dog, but we should observe. Most of these toys will really mean us being present to observe the dog to make sure that the way they're interacting with it is safe. Okay, so show a few of those. All right, so we showed a couple of the Star Mark balls. We're gonna have the wobble ball in there as well. I wanna go into puzzle toys. And puzzle toys are something that we have to kind of keep in mind. When they were first created, often they would come in wood, or sometimes the plastic wasn't super durable. This is something that can be pulled apart, really isn't meant for chewing. So this isn't something that we just let our dog do. Typically, it's something we do with our dog. Now, I'm a great fan of puzzle toys or puzzle contraptions. You could actually make your own, but there's some really cool stuff out there. With our puzzle toys, remember, this is something you do with your dog, and the reality is, when purchasing it, understand once your dog has figured it out once or twice, it's probably not going to continue to have the same appeal, because they will be able to do it so quickly. Okay, so I get a lot of people who are like, yeah, it was fun the first time or second time, but then my dog just blows right through it. Okay, and that's a good thing, right? So they're not good, they're not bad. It's that they're what they are, but just keep that in mind. And once again, the parts on those weren't meant to do something to have our dog do it separately from us. Once again, there are snuffle mats. That's another one that's gotten really popular. I still recommend supervision because we're talking about fabric. So most of your enrichment toys really were meant for you to be present, just to make sure that your dog isn't ripping shards of it off or is interacting with it appropriately, okay? The last thing that I'm gonna hit on with enrichment toys is we do see people who go, as a trainer that I see go overboard on the idea of enrichment. First off, I think it's wonderful for dogs to have problem-solving skills. I'm a huge fan of that. I like active-minded thinking dogs. But it's really important that we're not trying to just constantly stimulate our dog. So if you have a puppy, make sure there are times for rest times. Some of those toys, like the Star Mark ball, they might chew and then fall asleep. That's great. Or work at a Kong and slowly settle down. That's great. But if you're constantly seeking to enrich your dog and keep your dog's mind busy, you're really teaching that dog to be on all the time. So it's great to have those things and we should incorporate them. But it's also important to understand that you're not going to enrich your dog into calmness, okay? We do have to teach the ability to relax or teach off switches and practice those things. So once again, just the same as exercise. If you exercise your dog to tire him out, because a tired dog is a good dog, right? That's a wonderful idea. I encourage your dog needs exercise, they need stimulation, but you will train an athlete. And if I can run 1 mile a day and I keep working at it, I'm gonna be running 3 miles pretty soon and then 5 miles. And it gets to the point you're not gonna be able to tire them out, okay? So we have to understand an appropriate balance of rest, enrichment, mental stimulation, and exercise are all need to be provided for a healthy, well-rounded dog. So that's where I'm going to stop with enrichment toys. The next subject we're going to cover is one of my favorites, which is interactive toys. So join us for the next video of that.